something tangible from our guest speaker today. And while we are waiting for her to join, I think we all have to introduce ourselves in terms of telling us where we are. Welcome, Dana. Welcome to today's episode, the May's edition on Renew Education. And we have in our midst Dana. I don't want to murder her other name, so I would give her the privilege to please introduce herself and tell us her name, and we just start from there so I can pronounce the name properly. So over to you, Dana.
Yeah, sure. I think that I can start from my slides because I have one slide about my introduction, if it's possible to share, right? Okay, just a second.
Oh.
Okay, Jonathan, you shared my screen, your screen. Yes, to pronounce properly, my surname is Shukirbayeva. So my name is Dana Shukirbayeva, and today I will be talking about ESG agenda and everything related on this field. So yeah, I have one slide in the beginning of my presentation about myself. If you can give me an access to share my presentation, please.
Oh. Just give us a moment to read your bio to the audience so they just get to know you a little bit, and then you can have you can pick it up.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I just want to say that I'm originally from Kazakhstan. It is a country in Central Asia. So here we do we're building a climate tech startup Forest Hero. I'm also running consulting bureau ESG Case. So, and also a climate action initiative Central Asia NGO that is really.
Yeah.
Can you please? Someone's mic is on.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I'm also a part of NGO, which is Climate Action Initiative Central Asia. We are building local expertise among young professionals in Kazakhstan and Central Asian region. So we are focused on people under 30 for building the youth community and their engagement in the climate agenda.
Thank you so much. Mr. Jonathan.
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Welcome once again, Dana. So let's permit us to read out your bio to the audience. And also thank you for pronouncing the name. So I will be also cautious when pronouncing the name as well. Dana is an ESG professional. She's a founder of Forest Hero Climate Tech Startup. She's also the co-founder of Kala AI Urban Tech Startup, CEO of ESG Case Consulting Bureau, also a founder of Climate Action Initiative Central Asia. She also is a winner of COP28 Women Climate Entrepreneurs Pitch Competition, an alumna of Katia Women's Initiative Academy 2023, Women in Sustainability, Environment and Renewable Energy, WISER Mazda Initiative. She's also a pioneer in 2004. And also, she's a curator of Global Shapers Community Hub in Astana, which is a World Economic Forum initiative. Please, let's put up a round of applause for Ms. Dana as she comes on stage to take on today's webinar. Welcome, Dana.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So nice to meet you, all of you. I'm reading right now your messages in the chat. I see that you are from different countries. That's so nice. So it's Nigeria, Somaliland, Ghana, and other places around the world. So yeah, I'm ready to start. If we should spend a few minutes to wait for other participants, let me know. Or if we can start, let me know also.
You can start. You can start.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Start.
So can you see my screen right now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So today we will be speaking, I will be speaking about ESG mostly, and also the correlation between ESG, sustainability, and climate change. As Jonathan already introduced me, you can here also find my information about myself, but I think it's already have mentioned. So today the topics of the discussion will be mostly about the ESG fundamentals and the correlation of the ESG agenda with the climate change agenda and everything about ethics, governance, sustainability. I would like to explain more about the what is ESG, why it is important, and to what type of the standards people use to build strategies and disclose, what is the difference, and other topics that are listed here. So, as you know, ESG is environmental, social, and governance concept, and I would like to name it as a concept, not as just an agenda or standard. It's a concept that helps. Sorry, something with my screen. Okay. So that helps companies to build their strategies and then to the investors to evaluate companies in order to make a proper investment that they are focused on. So these three components that you can see on the slide are about environment, social, and governance. And environmental criteria is it addresses a company's operations, environmental impact, and stewardship. Social criteria refers to how company manage relationship with key stakeholders, which are internal and external stakeholders. And governance criteria is mostly about company's leadership and how the management philosophy is built, which policies and practices the government and the board management have in the company, and so on. So you can see on this slide, the ESG agenda is not something just happened after pandemic time. It was a long way of different concepts that were developed from the 1980s. So the key point that show to the corporates that safety and the community is important started from 80s when the environmental health and safety trend started. So it was based on the development of environmental and employee regulations. Then in 90s, it was a trend of sustainability. So sustainability focused on mostly reducing environmental impacts beyond legal requirements. In the beginning of the century, it was a trend of corporate social responsibility that was mostly related to philanthropy, corporate philanthropy, because it was not so much correlated with investing, but mostly with philanthropy, because philanthropy is not it's not a method of investing to something, right? And then after pandemic time, ESG is a trend and is a concept related to mostly risk management that companies face in terms of their environmental, social, or governance components. Why it is important? So as I told before, ESG is a framework for assessment of how companies. Excuse me, can you please turn off your mic? Yeah, thank you. So as I told before, ESG is mostly is a framework to make an assessment of how companies manages risks, firstly, And then opportunities also that shifts in market and non-market conditions create. So it's important slide because sometimes companies think that, or like people, suppliers or customers think that ESG is just for like marketing things, right? But to be honest, ESG helps companies to prepare for the risks that could be coming from changes in environmental systems, social systems, and economic systems. So in terms of all the crises that we are facing right now, ESG can help companies to be more prepared for upcoming risks that are like every year we face new and new risks, right? Here are three main drivers behind the growth of ESG agenda and why it became a mainstream. So first is regulation. A lot of national and international threats, they affected some changes in regulations. So right now, countries, international law, and everything about regulations are focused on ESG and climate change and everything about the risks reduction. The transparency is also a driver because right now, all of the bodies, including customers, partners, investors, and everyone, they require more transparency. So the requirement of more transparency is also a driver of ESG. And the third one is materiality, which is mostly about the investor side. So ESG's influence on investor risks and returns. And this all effect on growth of the mainstream of ESG. When we talk about each component, we can categorize some topics that are related to three of the components of ESG. And many issues can be classified in a variety of ways, depending on the rating body. So, for example, environmental risks, they are more about climate change, pollution and waste, natural resources scarcity. Social is more about diversity, inclusion and equity, as well as product safety and human capital management. And governance is more about how transparent the board is, how companies and corporates manage ethics and reporting, and how what is the board of the company. So the board quality is a key component of governance in ESG. When we talk about the challenges, so it seems like ESG is something new, but it's not new. And since the pandemic time, during these 4 years, the industry of consultancy and everything related to ESG, we face different issues that are also challenging us in making our businesses. First one is that ESG is differently defined. So ESG issues are typically defined, described, and categorized differently. It depends on the geography, on the region of the company, as well as in industry. In different industries, companies sometimes define ESG in different way. As well as that, I think that you have seen different ratings, ESG ratings or standards. So there are a variety of them. And also the challenge is that rating platforms, frameworks, and providers of the ESG assessment, they do it differently. And it also sometimes decrease the trust to the ESG agenda. Sometimes people think that if there is no one, there is no one standard for all of the industries, it doesn't make sense. But this is the challenge that maybe I think that we will be facing every time, because it's impossible to make one standard for every industry and for every geography. And also the challenge that we see every day, that ESG issues and definitions are constantly changing. So sometimes, like from the pandemic time, during these 4 years, the definitions sometimes they also they are different. And to be consultant or to be an analyst in this field or in this business, sometimes it's not so easy because of these changes that are happening every year. So why it is important for everyone, not only investors? It's important to understand that in each company, we have internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So, and when we speak about ESG, we have to think about both of them. So internal stakeholders, they include firstly, owners of the company and employees of the company. So what I mean by owners, it's mostly about the shareholders, general management, and the people who are involved in the company. So external stakeholders is mostly about investors that are investing into this company, or customers of the products or services of the company, suppliers that are providing something for the company, creditors, media, communities that live on the land where the company have their operations. So all of these categories are included to external stakeholders. And when we speak about ESG, we have to think that benefits from ESG should be affected positively to both of these groups. So why this is also important is mostly because of the investors. So investors right now, I mean large institutional investors, they declared ESG criteria that guide their decision making on investment decisions, especially where it is climate-related risks in the operations of the company or corporation. And also there is a trend. From one side, we see that investors, they use the criteria on ESG to make decisions on investment. On the other side, we see that there is a trend from the communities. For example, in today's labor market, companies, they profit more if they are working on their ESG strategies, because millennials have been responsible for influencing norms around the key ESG issues, as well as Gen Z has been engaged in these types. So companies, people from Gen Z and millennials, they prefer work more in companies that are doing something in sustainability. So it's better to start right now implementing of ESG to be more interesting for your upcoming employees. Next slide is about materiality. So materiality is a key on ESG. Just a second, I'm sorry. Sorry. So materiality is a key. Materiality, what does it mean? Materiality is the information that would impact an investor's decision making. So to be honest, the main body that affects all of the ESG updates and regulations is coming from the investor side. And it doesn't mean that only VCs or institutional investors. It means also that all of the financial systems, as well as banks, international holdings, they are investors. So materiality is any type of information that would impact the decision of the investors. And there are 5 key concepts in determining a company's material ESG issues, which are legal regulations, legal and regulatory drivers, financial impacts, industry norms, for example, stakeholder concerns, and opportunities for innovation. So financial impacts, it means that it means how corporate performance on an ESG will have direct and measurable impact on their financial performance. Legal material issues also affects a lot on the decision-making of investors. Industry norms means that as industry players advance their respective ESG efforts, and the impact created by this can change investor expectations. Opportunities for innovation, it means that new customer groups or new products, new markets, new business models can be derived from strategic ESG management. So it's very important to understand how to evaluate ESG, right? So evaluation of ESG it includes 3 components, which is maturity, disclosure, and performance. Disclosure is more about reporting, maturity is more about strategy and reporting, and performance as well is more about reporting. So when we talk about evaluating ESG, first thing that comes to mind is ratings and rankings. So there are a lot of ratings and rankings that are doing assessment of ESG strategies and performance of different companies. So what they do, they measure the quality of disclosure on ESG issues rather than actual performance in engaging these issues, and also measure their perception of companies' risks exposure. And there are different factors that are that we can talk about when we think about reporting. So first thing is we already discussed environmental factors, and I think it's more obvious for companies because when companies in 80s they started working on their environmental and health standards, then corporate social responsibility happened. Environmental issues were first things first, right? So then social factors right now, it's more about community engagement and responsible sourcing. So this is the main factors of social component. But there are also issues that present significant risks. For example, human rights, labor management, product and service safety. It's not obvious because sometimes product and service safety, people think that it's more about environmental, but it refers to social factors. Human capital management, which means how companies manage their human resources, their employees, their partners, and everyone that are real people of the company. So governance factors is, I think it's the most important thing, to be honest. So we cannot speak about ESG when there is nothing about mature governance. So governance is about board quality, diversity, and effectiveness. How would they measure accountability? How they integrate ESG factors to business planning? Everything about governance is a key because the quality of governance is determining factor, right? How the company will be managing environmental and social risks, it depends on the governance. So key thing is governance, to be honest, in the company when we speak about ESG strategy. Sorry. So ESG reporting. When company is starting the implementation of strategy or development of ESG strategy, it's better to think also at the same time about how you will be reporting about that, right? So sometimes it's a parallel process of development of the strategy as well as the preparation for upcoming reporting, because once you announce about the strategy, it's better to start reporting and making disclosure on how you are achieving the goals and KPIs that you put in your strategy from the first year of the implementation of it. So reporting attributes includes risks. So risks is mostly about events that could challenge financial health, operations, or different compliance or regulatory things, reputation of the corporate. Opportunities is more about potential areas for the innovation of product, new market, new customer acquisition. Third part is strategies. So how company responds to the trends, risks, and opportunities, and how it could affect performance of the company or long-term growth prospects. And last thing is performance. So how existing efforts and practices progress towards committing and achieving the sustainability goals of the company. So reporting mostly means classical. So it's classical ESG report that could be done by using standards or not by using standards. But to be honest, if a company is seriously working on the strategy in terms of applying for new investment or making businesses in the new markets, it's impossible to report and ignoring the standards. So, but at the same time, there are different types of standards in the market. So here are listed key frameworks and standards that corporates use, but there are also some different ones. So when we speak about the reporting, it's very important to understand that SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that is United Nations framework, is not a standard. It's mostly a framework that provides targets and guidelines for sustainability, but it's not a proper standard of ESG reporting. At the same time, there are some also guidelines. For example, when we speak about ESG reports of corporates, key leading standard is GRI. So the second one on this slide, GRI, Global Reporting Initiative, is a key leading standards because worldwide, more than 70% of companies, they use GRI standard to make their annual ESG reports. So they developed one of the most comprehensive sets of reporting guidelines In GRI we have standards that could be used for all of the industries. At the same time, they have standards, industry-related standards. We also have SASB, which is Sustainability Accounting Standards Board. It's a framework, a reporting framework focused on industry-specific ESG issues. They have 75 plus guidelines for different industries. So it depends on what industry you represent when you start reporting. We also have TCFD, is Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures. It is mostly about recommendations. So they provide recommendations on voluntary climate change disclosure. So by telling voluntary, it means that it is not required to all of the key players on financial market. It depends on if company wants to disclose or not. But TCFD, they provide recommendations to increase reporting on climate-related financial information. So sometimes it's not obvious that financial information can be somehow related to climate, but TCFD helps companies to disclose how climate change affects on financial performance of the company. And we also have PRI. PRI is Principles for Responsible Investment, and it is not a standard. PRI is network of, it is United Nations supported network for investors. So investors that are going to ESG investing, they are starting they start to be a part of PRI network. So mostly, for example, banks, they sign a declaration that they are starting to be a part of PRI in order to implement the responsible investment strategies in their policy. So GRI is a key leading standard for now. Maybe something will be changed in upcoming years, but for today, this standard is leading one. So as Shalom said, I should be speaking for half an hour. So that's why I don't want to take more time. Maybe you have questions to make a Q&A session, for example. Yeah, I will be very happy to answer your questions. I see that there is questions in the chat, so I think that I can start from them, right? Okay.
Yes, please. You can start from there.
Yeah. So ratings, since there are challenges related to standardized ratings and evaluation, which one is the most comprehensive? So speaking about ratings, today we spoke more about reporting, but there are also different rating agencies, for example, S&P that do ESG ratings, or MSCI, or different ones. And to be honest, all of them, they have the position on the market. So when you are guiding the corporate to have an ESG scorecard from the ESG rating agency, it is very important to clearly understand the goal, the main goal of why you need this ESG scorecard. If you are going to apply for new investment, or if you are just doing this for I don't know, like building more transparent relation with shareholders, stakeholders, I mean, there is a variety of rating agencies, and some of them are better for investors, and some of them are better just for starting having a rating. So, for example, S&P and MSCI, as like from my background, we see that in Kazakhstan, when company are applying for S&P ESG scorecards, most of them, they do that for having new investments to the corporates, because, as you know, S&P is not doing ratings only for ESG, but also for financial things and everything. As well as there are some not ratings, but let's say it's more like agencies that do ratings by using just data or from open source, for example, Sustainalytics. So Sustainalytics is also a rating agency, but to be honest, not so proper and accurate in their assessment of ESG for investor side. So, and there is also a question, what skills should a student focus on building if they want to contribute in the ESG sector? I know, do you think about the students like bachelor students, or people who just want to build their careers maybe after their main degree to go to the ESG market and have career track? Do you mean this, or? So it was a question from Dimple. Yeah, Dimple, please, can you specify what type of students do you mean?
Hi, if I can unmute my mic. So I meant that be it bachelor students or young professionals, the people who have decided that they want to work in the ESG sector, those people.
Yeah, I think that to be honest, for example, me myself, I am ecologist, and I started my career track on ESG during the pandemic time, but it's more it is somehow difficult to be a professional in ESG assessment or building strategies when you don't have a background in environmental science, or yeah, I think that maybe environmental science should be a key goal to have education in, because speaking about social and governance factors, it's not so maybe science-based, because when we do climate related strategies for corporates, every time it includes a lot of events that should be done in operations of companies. When we speak about, for example, mining or oil and gas, even not heavy industry companies, when someone wants to reduce its carbon footprints, it's always about nature-based solutions. So what I see on the market, that there is a lack of professionals in environmental studies that can be much more useful for building ESG strategies and its implementation. So yeah, I think it's more about environmental studies. These are questions from the audience, you can answer. So what skills okay, I saw that. Ratings I also saw. Is there a penalty for companies who do not fulfill the ESG evaluation in the required framework and standards? It depends on the geography. So, for example, as we see from the market, European Union is much more regulated in terms of ESG, right? So they do much more work on the governmental side to step by step force companies to implement their ESG strategies and make some ESG evaluation. by using standards, country-related standards or international standards. In other markets, for example, North American or Asian Pacific, we don't see so much governmental changes that force companies to make the reporting and everything on ESG mandatory. But I think that in upcoming years, maybe we will have some penalties for companies. And it will be started from specific areas, right? So specific industries that are much more, that do much more environmental negative impact on climate change, or they use much natural resources, or their carbon footprint is bigger than others. So I think that penalty will be started from focusing on this type of corporates and industries. And also any case study of the company's ESG that open to the public. Yes, but in terms of that I am from Central Asian region, I can share my screen and, for example, explain also by the case of Kazatomprom. So Kazatomprom is a company that are in nuclear energy industry. So it is the world's largest producer. So yeah, if you didn't know, in Kazakhstan, we are #1 by amount of resources of natural uranium. So Kazatomprom is our national company that is the world's largest producer and seller of natural uranium. And it provides over 40% of global primary uranium supply in Kazakhstan. So what they did, they have their ESG strategy, and they also have their ESG rating. And we just can see, let me share my screen, how the ratings normally looks like, and what we can find from the ESG scorecard of the corporate. No, it's not this. Just a second. Ratings. Yeah, I think it's here. Yeah. So, for example, as I told before, S&P Global, they provide ESG rating scorecards for corporates, and they evaluate ESG score by themselves. Normally, it takes like from 2 to 4 or 5 months to make this evaluation. And we can see here the example of the ESG scorecard for Kazatomprom National Atomic Company. They have for today the score, which is 43 out of 100. And here you can see my screen, right? Okay. So here you can see the explanation about what is ESG score and the contribution, right? So what S&P Global measures, they measures a company's performance and management of material ESG risks and opportunities. And here they provide information of disclosure for each part, for required public disclosure, for additional disclosure, and model scores. And when they summarize these parts, they have the final evaluation of the ESG score. So here you can see the chart that explain where is the company's performance in terms of different parts of disclosure and operations, starting from human rights, biodiversity, climate strategy, business ethics, waste, social impacts, everything. And so the biggest one is what you can see. So let me like this. It's industry maximum that could be reached. The gray one is the score of the company, and this part is the industry mean, which is it's an average amount of each score for the industry. So as you can see from the gray one, that for example Kazatomprom in terms of risks and crisis management or business ethics or health and safety, they have much more than average amount of the industry. But at the same time, there is an opportunity to reach the maximum for the industry. So what they do, S&P mostly how the rating agencies works. So S&P, they firstly use public information in all of the reports of the company. They use media, some publications about the company first. Then they go to the company. They make a survey survey between the workers of the company, of board management, of partners, and everyone. So they have a variety of survey forms that they use by going internal to the company, and then to see how what company is reporting about publicly is true or not. They do interviews with board management. They do interviews with randomly selected employees to make a real assessment of ESG. And then they also use, if there is existing ESG report of the company, they also use this type of report. So there is also a question with ESG rating systems, how can investors compare companies effectively? Yes, so the main reason why this ratings exist is to make investors' life easier. So when they make their own internal evaluation, for sure they start from the financial evaluation. So they make an assessment of financial statements of the company, and then they go to the ratings. But I think it was a survey from 2022 of huge investors when they shared the information how they make decisions and how they compare ESG ratings. And the result of the survey showed that investors never use only one rating to make an assessment. They normally go to variety of ratings, and then they see the differences, because some of the ratings, as I said, they are industry related. So that's why internal investor, internal analytical teams of investors, they mostly use different types of information, including ESG scorecards, to make their decisions more effective. Yernar said that he worked in Kazatomprom. Wow, that's cool. Happy to see that someone from Kazakhstan is also on the call. Yeah, it's so nice. So Shalom said, talking about survey forms, what other tools can be used to conduct an ESG assessment in terms of the environmental standards? Yeah, sure. So when rating agencies make an evaluation of the ESG, they not only use the survey forms, but also how companies are implementing different ISO standards in their operations. So, for example, there are a variety of occupational health and safety standards. Some of them are industry related. So when they do an ESG assessment, they analyze, do the company have specific policy on, for example, health and safety, and is this policy related to international ISO standards or not? They also look through all of the policies, internal and external policies of the company, because if company does not have specific policies like in the company documents, sometimes it's a red flag. Also speaking about S&P scorecards, for example, sometimes companies, they apply for making an assessment from S&P side, but you have an option. You have an option to make this for publicly listed, or just to have it for your internal assessment. Because sometimes when companies prepare for going to IPO or for new investments, they do not make first ESG rating scorecard publicly available. Most of them, they prepare and then go to rating agencies to make an internal assessment of ESG, and if they are happy with the score that they have from the rating, maybe then they have an opportunity to publicly disclose it. But as we see from the client side, most of the companies, they are sometimes it's scary for them to start doing everything publicly. Yeah, so it depends on how company are mature in this type of work of having some scores, and also if they have already existing ESG practices and reports, for example. So do we have any questions? Dimple A is raising a hand. Please, the stage is yours.
Thanks again, Donna. I had this question popped in my mind that I believe that there's a scope for greenwashing as well in ESG reporting, maybe. Is that so according to your experience or no? And if there is, then is there any way to keep a check on it?
Yes, sure. There is a huge problem right now existing for today. It is still a problem on the market about the greenwashing. So greenwashing is mostly about manipulation or misinformation, right? To garner consumer confidence around what company do, what product they produce, and what they claim in terms of ESG. And there are some different ways to prevent greenwashing. And the main thing is data-oriented instruments. For example, speaking about greenwashing, one of the key things that gained a lot of attention from the market is carbon credits, carbon offsets. So they were a lot of carbon credits in last 10 years that were publicly available on the emission trading systems, verified by standards. Also, they have sellers and consumers. But then after a couple of years, it was a huge scam, and it was like, how to say, so the market saw that some percentage of these carbon credits were fake. So it was also even a movie, I guess it was a short movie, documentary movie about fake forests. It was powered by Bloomberg Green, when they were talking about fake carbon offsets and credits that claimed that there is a CO2 sequestration from the forest, but in real life, it was not, for example, there was not even a forest on the land, or it was not so effective sequestration of the forest from the places that were listed on the offsets registry. So to reduce this greenwashing opportunities for providers of carbon credits, for example, there is a need to make more transparent market of emission trading systems, and all of these things should be data driven. So data driven ESG assessment, data driven carbon offsets verification is now a trend. Even the startup that I'm building, we are building technologies that exclude real human out of the process of carbon offsets verification, in order to be for 100% sure that the forests that people are paying for are really sequestrating, and the main thing that the forests are resilient and feeling them good, right? So the main concept is that resilient tree planting should be done by using a huge amount of analytics, and then it's the main point of forests is to monitor their health and their productivity. So the problem of greenwashing is complex, and there is nothing about the unique solution to prevent it, but depends on what type of instruments company used to implement some ESG practices. There are a variety of solutions to prevent greenwashing, and all of the standards also, and green bond standards, green finance standards, all of them are also the main idea of them are is like reducing greenwashing things.
Okay. People, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yeah, it answers my questions. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. Okay, please, can you mute your mic? Okay, sorry about that. So Dana, there's one more question that was asked here. Saying that talking about survey forms, what other tools can be used to conduct an ESG assessment in terms of the environment standards? Can you please answer that?
The question from the first part of the chat, right?
Yes, talking about the survey forms.
Yeah, I think that we already discussed this thing, that there is not only survey forms, but also other tools of ESG assessment, for example, looking through all of the policies, internal documents of the corporate, the reports, how companies use ISO standards for different type of operations. So yeah, so there are a variety of tools that I were explaining before. for conducting an ESG assessment.
Yeah, I remember you explaining that extensively. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shalom. Yeah. And also, me and Shalom, we are a part of Masdar's initiative. That's how we were like introduced to each other. And I'm so happy that, yeah. So Masdar, they, as company, they support women working on sustainability, renewables, energy, and it's so nice to see all of you guys from different geographies. So it's my first time because I'm doing my lectures on ESG in Kazakhstan in Russian. And today I'm speaking about ESG as a lecturer for the first time in English. So I'm sorry if something was not so clear, but I tried my best.
Perfectly. Oh my God, it was perfect. I'm also even saying to my team that we need to invite Dana again, because I think there are a lot more information that should be gotten, and an hour is not enough to exhaust all of those information.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my pleasure to be involved. So thank you so
I'll
much.
keep in touch because I have other initiatives I will tell you about.
Yes, I think
thank you so much.
Shalom is doing a great work, and Renew What Technologies is a great initiative. So
Thank you.
happy to be a part.
Thank you so much. Let me just get confirmation from the audience that there are no more questions, but I will keep you for on another platform. So are there other questions from the audience? Okay. Okay. I think someone asked if they could get your presentation slides, or are they more private property?
I think that I can share my slides. I will send it by email. Okay.
Okay, that'll be perfect. That'll be perfect. Thank you so much, Dana. And I'll keep in touch for future conversation. This was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Have a nice weekend.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Wait.
Yeah.
For a group picture, would love to have a picture
Yes,
with
sure.
you and everyone. Okay. Anyone that can turn on their cameras? Oh, thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Ms. Chidima. I just want to take a quick picture. Jonathan, can you coordinate the pictures and take from there? I think that would be
Yes, I'm actually on that. So. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah.
Okay, I've gotten it now. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being part of today's presentation. Thank you, Dana. Thank you. I can't call everyone names, but I'm so grateful for each and every one of you to be here today, and we're looking forward to seeing each and every one of you next month. And Dana, thank you so much for your presentation in English. That was awesome. I think perhaps someday we'll be willing to hear or listen in your native language. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being part of today's presentation. We are so grateful. On behalf of Renewables Technologies, I would say thank you to each and every one of us for being part of today's seminar. Thank you so much.
Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
nice weekend. And I will send a message, Dana. Oh, just thank you so much, everyone.